Final segment of the show. And we're ending it with the man who wears many hats here at DraftKings, Geoff Ulrich. He's here for PGA Tour Price Check, getting your favorite DFS plays in these price ranges for the Travelers Championship. So, Geoff, let's start with the guy you're spending up for, a guy who is over 10K, someone real pricey.
Yeah, I mean, for me this week, it really comes down to two options. It's either Bryson or Patrick Cantlay. And I'm going to lean Cantlay here ever so slightly, $700 cheaper than Bryson. But you just look at what Cantlay's done. You know, it's the player who missed 4 cuts in a row, obviously went through a really tough stretch, but he bounced out of it quick in contention at the PGA and then, winning. And then a T15 at the US Open last week. This dude's ranked 3rd in strokes gained tee to green over the last 50 rounds. He's smashing it off the tee right now, one of the top players off the tee as well. And that kind of consistency just brings goodness with the rest of his game. His scoring clubs have been off the charts the last few starts as well. Was really great on the greens at Torrey Pines. And just to, throw in, he shot a 60 at this course at TPC River Highlands way back in 2011, I believe, as an amateur. So we know he can get it done at this course. He's done well at some lower scoring events as well. I think all things considered, Bryson's a very nice option this week, but if I'm paying up for one player, one core lineup, or a cash game target to build around, it's going to be Patrick Cantlay this week. I just think the price difference is too much between him and Bryson.
All right, let's talk about that 9K range. You could get Abraham Ancer for 9,100. I mean, he did miss the cut last week, but he's still averaging the most strokes gained per round of anyone in this field since the Masters.
You've been reading my notes, Jesse? I mean, yeah, let's go. Look, this guy has been so close to grabbing a win. Abraham Ancer, we're talking about, obviously. 2nd place at the Wells Fargo. He was 2nd at the American Express last year. He's got about 5 second-place finishes on tour. And really, he's done nothing wrong in any of those events. He's just been beaten by players having insanely good Sundays. He missed the cut at the US Open. He also gained over 5 strokes through 2 rounds on his approaches. He was hitting the ball well at Torrey Pines. He just messed up on the greens. You know what? That's fine. I like that. Come in a little bit fuming. He's had an extra couple days to work with the putter. This is a guy who can get hot on the greens at any point as well. He's certainly done well at the Travelers over his career. 2 top 15 finishes. A shorter course, it's going to help out a guy like Ancer, who's really good on his approaches, can get hot with his scoring clubs. I like this as a potential breakthrough spot for Ancer, and I think you'll get a little bit lower sentiment on him coming off the miscut, which I really like. Look, Paul Casey, Scotty Scheffler, I think those are both good pay-up targets, but I will roll the dice and take the cheaper price here on Ancer.
All right, so in that 8K range now, there's plenty of guys to choose from. You got a safe option, maybe like Charlie Hoffman, he's 8,600, but then you got a guy like Brian Harmon, he's 8,900. T19 at Torrey Pines last week. Who are you going with in this range?
Yeah, and I think those 2 guys you mentioned are going to be popular this week. Hoffman just playing extremely consistent golf. He's been making cuts like left and right, top 20s. DFS players love that. You just bring it every week. You don't have to win every week in DFS, Jesse, but just don't crater for us. Do good on Sunday. Put in a good effort. Get us like a T20. That's good. We'll keep coming back to you. Brian Harmon, the same thing. Both those guys will be popular and with good reason. They're not that expensive. They're consistent. Harmon sets up great, but my target in the 8K range is going to be Russell Henley, 8,300. Let's go for the really big upside. Henley's a dude who's got 7 top 10s on tour in his last 26 starts. Since the restart, he's really just flashed around leaderboards left and right. He's 1st in strokes gain approach over the last 50 rounds in this field. And look, Henley will throw in a few missed cuts. He'll have some bad weeks, and that's typically why he doesn't get trusted as much. But from an upside perspective, we saw last week, this guy went into the US Open final round, tied for the lead, 2nd last pairing. Now, it didn't work out for him on Sunday. Torrey Pines is a 7,600-yard course, though, and Henley does not hit it big off the tee. We got a 6,800-yard course in the Travelers. Really favors players with good approaches. Henley is that guy. I think he's got a great shot at the win at 8,300. Yeah, he's my target in the 8K range, 100%.
All right, let's talk about the 7K range. A guy that jumped out to me is Doc Redman. He's starting to sort of like turn the tides again, and he's going back to TPC River Highlands, where he finished T11 last year. Does he, spike your interest, or are you going elsewhere in that 7K range?
We should really talk golf more often. Like, could we just get rid of Emerson? You could just do the golf shows on Tuesday? Because
sure.
I mean, you're just talking about all the golfers I like. I mean, I love Doc Redman. I think he's definitely an interesting choice this week. A guy I've probably written up a lot on the DK Nation playbook over the last year. I like Aaron Wise a little bit better this week at 7,400. A, he's cheaper, but B, Aaron Wise over his last 4 events, he's been over 70 DraftKings points. He's been really high up there in the birdie rate as well, 17 or more birdies in his last 4 starts. And we've seen that this is a very talented young player. He came into the Byron Nelson a couple years and just went ballistic, got to like 22 under par, 23 under par, and just cratered the field basically for his first win. The Travelers sets up as a similar type of shorter course. I think Aaron Wise is just too cheap to ignore, and he's playing too well. His approaches are hitting. He's sharp around the greens. This is a very, very talented young player that people kind of forget about sometimes. And I think he's way too cheap this week for his recent form. So my 7K pick, definitely going to be Aaron Wise this week.
All right, Jeff, talk to me about, where you can find some value here. That's going to be somebody who's under 7K. Who stands out to you?
Yeah, I really like Hank Lebioda. Just make sure I get the name correct. Hammer and Hank, 6,700. Again, we're at an approach-driven course here with TPC River Highlands. It's shorter. What you do off the tee here doesn't matter that much. But you've got a guy in Lebioda. He's made 4 straight cuts. He's ranked 11th in strokes gained approach over the last 50 rounds. This guy's been very consistent with the irons, and he started to pick it up in his last start with the putting and around the green as well. So, again, at this price range, you definitely want to really target guys who are just, you think, can bring some level of consistency, because most of the players down here aren't that consistent. But Lebioda, he's doing a lot of things good right now. And again, he's got that upside with the irons where if he brings that good iron play to a course like TPC River Highlands, I mean, I think a top 20, potentially even just, challenging for a top 10 if the putter gets hot, is on the table. So 6,700 for Lebioda looks way too cheap. I don't mind Patrick Rogers at 6,900. I'm probably, hammer my credibility by bringing him up again, but he has been playing a bit better. He can get really hot with the putter, which is why I don't mind targeting him, in the outright odds or in GPPs. But Lebioda, definitely my under 7K target this week.